I'm Wale Oladipo. I'm the director at Mind Body Brief Organization. We focus on helping the general public understand mental health conditions better. So we run a whole bunch of events, conferences, seminars on OCD, anxiety, personality disorders, PTSD, complex PTSD, a whole bunch of them, addiction, depression. So we've been doing that for about 13 years. I remember speaking here with you um, about 6, 7 years ago. So it's a pleasure to be back. Uh, Originally, I'm from Nigeria, West Africa. I actually got into this job because of personal traumas. I went through some traumas growing up. My dad got married to 13 wives, 29 siblings, 29 siblings, 13 wives, 39 siblings. So growing up was really, really tough. And there was a whole bunch of issues that happened that affect my mental health. And it took me years to be able to get going. But when I got going, there was something that came to my mind. I needed to help other people. And that shaped my education into psychology, into psychotherapy, into mental health science. So mind-body breakthrough started because of the previous experiences that over time we've managed to turn into something positive. So that is a message of positivity that I want to spread today as well. Now, I'm married to one wife. No, I didn't follow my dad with that. I'm super busy at the moment. So, so I'm married to one wife and 3 children. Now, my wife is autistic. My first son, 15 years old, has ADHD with autistic features. So I'm going to be sharing with you from personal experiences as well. So we know that autism is possibly one of the most misunderstood neurodiverse conditions. Parents are suffering. There's not a lot of help out there to help parents. And because of that, it's always been very emotional. Anytime, I'm invited to speak at autism conferences, and we know the reason because we're dealing with a complex situation, a situation that people don't really understand properly. Even some of the experts are very divisive. They're confused. They don't really know what's going on half of the time. So my purpose today is to share some findings based from the lived experiences. I'm living with one, and I've got a little boy as well with ADHD and autistic features. To share some basic information with you that I feel might be helpful. Then to look at it from the psychotherapeutic perspective, from the brain science perspective. My own specialty is mental health science. So the science behind any mental health condition. So we're going to look at what studies have shown with regards to the autistic mind. We know that autism is, is, is a neurodiverse condition that might be different but not broken, might be unique but not disordered. As I believe that some of you, I'm sure some of you know that some of our manuals that we use for diagnosis, DSM-5, ICD 11th edition, they're still filled with words that reflect what we know as the abnormal psychology. So we are moving gradually away from abnormal psychology into neurodiversity, where instead of looking at somebody thinking they're weird, you look at that person thinking, there's somebody that is different from me, but I need to understand how they work. because we have different types of brains and we have different ways of working. So being able to tune into another person that might not do things the way you do is an hallmark of an educated mind. So what we're going to be looking at today is to basically understand the autistic brain based on the findings that we have today. And we want to use that to help us to be able to bring about the interventions and how to better work with individuals with autism, especially regarding anxiety. We know that anxiety is energy. Anxiety is energy. It's a survival energy that is my friend. Yes. Now, some of you might remember that we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. If you've forgotten, don't worry. It doesn't really matter. So if you remember, we have the nervous system. So the nervous system is divided into two. We have the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So the central nervous system is divided into two. We have the brain and the spinal cord because it's central to my being. Are you with me? Okay. So there's a central nervous system, but the second arm of that is the peripheral nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system is further divided into two. Maybe we should use this. I hope this works. By the way, just let you know that we're recording these presentations. You can see the camera over there. It's just recording the PowerPoint and me. Okay, for educational purposes and other reviews. Thank you. So I'm sure you might be able to see. I'm going to turn this around. So we have the nervous system. Don't worry, I will turn it around to the other side. The nervous system. Let's say the NS, nervous system. By the way, the nervous system is the communication networks in the entire brain and body that enable functionality to happen. Without the nervous system, there will be no life. So that is important. So the nervous system is divided into two. We have the central, SNS, central nervous system, and we have the PNS, peripheral nervous system. So the central nervous system is divided into two. We have the brain, and we have the spinal cord, but that's central to our being, okay? The brain and the spinal cord. Then, the peripheral nervous system is divided into two. We have the sympathetic. I'm sure you remember this one. Sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Yes, parasympathetic. So the sympathetic is what gives you anxiety. The parasympathetic is what heals you. The sympathetic gives you anxiety. The is the fight or flight system. If you remember, fight, flight. And the parasympathetic is known as the rest and digest. Let me just look at it again. There's something missing. So the nervous system. So we have the central nervous system. We have the brain and the spinal cord. The PNS, yes, something's missing. So it's been a long time. You remember your secondary school? Secondary school biology or something. So the PNS is divided into two. So we have the autonomic nervous system, ANS, and we have the somatic nervous system. So the PNS is divided into two, autonomic nervous system and the somatic. The word somatic means the body. The body, so somatic nervous system. So it's the autonomic nervous system that is divided into two to have sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Are you with me? So the autonomic, from the word automatic, all your automatic reflexes, including anxiety, digestion, elimination, um, blood sugar levels regulations, your body temperature regulation, all the automatic effects in the body, they are all orchestrated by the autonomic features. Now, the somatic features, through the somatic nervous system, that's where stress and trauma is locked in the body, traumatic memory. So somatic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system regulates your fight and flight and your rest and digest. So now look at this word, sympathetic. It's from the word sympathy. So that means your anxiety tries to sympathize with you. Even though we've demonized it, you know what I mean? The next time you have a palpitation or you have tingling that you've already connected to anxiety, take a few deep breaths and say, thank you, my friend. Thank you, my anxiety. I know you're trying to protect me, but I want you to know that I am safe. So depending on what we've been through in our life, the anxiety center becomes over panicky. It starts to micromanage us. So being able to establish a corridor of communication with your body is important. So that what sympathy means is trying to help you. It thinks you are in danger. But because it's primitive, it doesn't know what's going on. It has to fire its fight or flight system. It has to mobilize energy to try to help you. But it's listening to you for what you're going to do next. So the biggest challenge is what I do next. Do I catastrophize? Do I panic? Or do I cooperate? So breathing, if you can. Breathing is a communication system to the primitive brain that you are not in danger. So anytime at all you feel triggered, there's nothing to panic about. Start to down-regulate by communicating with the anxiety center. Now, talking about autism, studies have shown that in autism, anxiety, the baseline anxiety is higher than a non-autistic brain. It's just something that comes as standard because of how the brain of an autistic person is arranged. You're going to see, I'm going to show you some videos today. So what we see is that in autism, we have a brain that is different, that is coded and wired in a different way. In a way that even the survivor brain, the anxiety department, gets confused. So sometimes the anxiety department thinks that somebody is victimizing a child, an autistic child, from the outside, even though it's just brain activities. Because we have a primitive brain that has not evolved to this civilization. They don't know what is going on. But anytime they realize that something is just not, is a little bit deviated from what the survivor brain is used to, it will fire your fight or flight. Better safe than sorry. So we have some autistic presentations depending on where you are on the spectrum, and depending on the level of comorbidity. The anxiety center will be going berserk because it doesn't know what is happening. So that is why it's important to understand anxiety, not as your enemy, but as a friend. So we need to look for different ways to self-regulate. And I'm going to be sharing other things with you today. Okay, so let me put this aside. Almost nobody could see that. So that was a good introduction.